There are bodies dropping across the NHL, which is why the latest edition of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast is covering every single top injury update that you need to know. Let's tap in and get this paper.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
With the frequency of injuries to key pieces across the league, staying on top of things, you need the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Every single day, 30 minutes, we are your source. What is good, guys? Welcome back inside the lab, showing love to the everydayers who continue to make us their first listen every single day and have put us on top of the pile as the number one sports podcast network in North America. We see you, we appreciate you, and we can't wait to break all the NHL news down on Wednesday's show. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. All season long, NFL live bets in the middle of the action. You got it covered at FanDuel.com to place your live bets. Mr. Rodin, there is a lot to get to, and I ain't even getting about those Wednesday bets that you know we're ready to roll. We're putting money in the pocketbook right now. Wednesday's 5-game betting board will be touched on, but how about Logan Cooley, Malkin, Zucker, Demko, the Minnesota Wild once again dealing with injuries. So much to get to, but it all impacts your squads out there, my friends. So we're trying to highlight these things so you know what to do with your roster. Over to you, my friend, Logan Cooley. This is a tough one for the Mammoth, who after a hot start have had their struggles. This guy, I believe, was third on the team in points. What's your take on Cooley this season and the Mammoth right now without him?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough injury to watch. And that had a lot of that reminded me a lot of when Steven Stamkos broke his tibia back in 2013, colliding into the goalpost against the Boston Bruins. And I'm not going out there and saying that Logan Cooley broke his tibia, but it looked very similar. And so that's a very tough injury. He's out indefinitely. We don't have a timeline. We'll keep you updated as new information obviously comes out for Logan Cooley, but this is just a huge loss for the Utah Mammoth. And they have been struggling of late. They only have 2 wins in their last 8 games. They're 4-6-0 in their last 10. Struggling to keep the puck out of their own net. They're struggling to score goals at times. Logan Cooley's fantasy value has been really up and down this year. I know he's had a few flurry of games and a few 3-game stretches where he's had maybe like 6 points in 3 games. He had that 4-goal night. Earlier in the year, he had that first period hat trick to start off the season as well, but he's been very hot and cold. He has 3-game stretches where he has 6 points, and then he has 4-game stretches without a single point and without any of those peripherals that, especially the shots, which he usually provides now, blocks and hits, he's not going to get much of. So it's been up and down fantasy value-wise when it comes to Logan Cooley. I still really like this player. He's such an important piece to the Utah Mammoth when you look at what they're dealing with now. Just guys that can fill in, Lawson Krause is obviously going to be available. Maybe he gets some time in the top 6. Barrett Hayton up the middle, Daniil Butt as well. Just trying to find some pieces that are going to fill his spot while he's out with this injury. You got to look to within the organization on some pieces that are going to jump up and get some playing opportunity. But it is a massive loss for the Utah Mammoth, who are really they've been hovering around a wild card spot all season long.
And we'll highlight some other options on Sunday's waiver wire target special. Dylan Guenther, I think's value is someone you have to look at here, as this might be taking a hit. What does this mean for the balance of the top 6 group that clearly has been a very serious unit? And I would think I was just looking at they're tied for 8th in goals for so far this season, Steele. We liked what the Mammoth had coming into this season. And yeah, growing pains are going to be there for a squad that is this young. This is a tough injury. I don't want to say so much as for fantasy owners, because I think, like you said, you might be able to plug and play here with some options and get frisky on the waiver wire. This might be a lot more critical of a hit to the Utah Mammoth's success. And I know he's gone hot and cold, but this really shortens up the depth on a young team that has had those growing pains. And then you take a look at where they sit in the standings, 31 points. So you're tied for a wild card spot right now. 4-6-0 in their last 10. We know we haven't seen the best from the Winnipeg Jets. What happens when Hellebuck comes back? You know what I'm saying here? You've got other teams around you that I don't know what's going to happen for the Mammoth. But for now, keep it tapped to the pod. Sunday, we'll talk in a little bit more depth about what to do with replacing Logan Cooley's value. Let's talk about Malkin, though. I thought about this off air. Drafting a player like Evgeni Malkin this year, if you had the cojones to do so back into the draft or maybe your last forward or in deeper formats, the last few rounds, no one was talking about Evgeni Malkin headed into this year. And 29 points in 26 games is one of these situations that if you're succeeding in your leagues, you're in the top 1, 2, 3, and you had a really solid top end of your draft, and you augmented with a couple of really lucky pieces here with Malkin's production, and now he is out, you are going to have to pay attention to how to maneuver these things. 29 points in 26 games. What's your take here on Evgeni Malkin and these Pittsburgh Penguins, who both have overachieved so far this season?
Yeah, that's the key word that we've used so many times when talking about these Pittsburgh Penguins. And obviously, Sidney Crosby continues to amaze us all in what he's been able to do every single night. But we called this. We literally called this a few weeks ago, maybe even 4 weeks ago. We talked about selling high on Evgeni Malkin. We talked about getting as much value as you possibly could for the 39-year-old. And we knew that this was potentially going to happen as well when it came to injury. He's dealt with injuries throughout his entire career. I know he's been fairly healthy over the last 2 to 3 seasons. For the most part, I believe. However, when you look at where he is at his age now, when you look again, just the way he started, which he's done also over the last couple of years, and then starts to slow down, fatigue catches up with him. We tried to warn you all out there that selling high would be a good option. And again, maybe it's just tough for people to actually buy in and wanting him. But you got to take the hits. You got to take the hits when they come to you. And this was weird because this injury was downplayed a lot. I mean, their head coach made it seem out that he was going to be available for the Dallas Stars game where they lost in overtime the other day. Now he's on a week-to-week basis. He ends up on the IR. He's going to miss the next 2 to 3 games. He's going to miss the next 2 to 3 games now. So this one was just a little bit weird overall. We don't even know really what the injury is. I believe it's just upper body.
Now.
Yeah, it's just upper body. We don't have much information. I feel like we usually never have much information when it comes to Gino. But yeah, he gets stashed away on the IR now, and you just got to hope and pray that he comes back and he doesn't lose his touch. I mean, we've seen this happen time and time again with this player.
Yeah, sorry about that, my friend. Didn't mean to cut you off there. I totally agree. It was fool's gold that you had. Pay attention to what's going on with Pittsburgh. Same song and dance. Ricard Raquel back at practice for the first time. He has missed 18 games. That's another little angle. Maybe sign. Stash that into your back pocket as well. Ricard Raquel potentially nearing a return. The Penguins are banged up. They're still in that wild card spot. When I look at their overall kind of output this season in terms of goals for, goals against, and numbers, it's the power play that obviously jumps off the page. Number 1 in the NHL, tied with the Edmonton Oilers juggernaut of situation on the offensive end with the man advantage, 33.3% for the Penguins. Like we said, overachieving. That number starts to fade. Fantasy value starts to fade. Evgeni Malkin has been key on that second line for pumping up guys like Anthony Mantha and other players that have been there on a good stream option in Pittsburgh. So be wary of what you're doing, just like we've said all year long, with teams that punch above their weight class. We'll talk about a couple of other players, your boy Zucker, Demko. Quick touch in on the Minnesota Wild Wednesday's bets. So much to get to and so much more to get to the rest of the week. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Monarch. The holidays are amazing, but they can also get overwhelming fast. Travel, gifts, parties, year-end expenses. Easy to lose track of your money this time of year, and that's exactly why Monarch has become such a game changer for both Steele and I. You want to keep your finances under control this holiday season? You need to be using Monarch, rated Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, simple, easy-to-use dashboard. Holiday spending is a nutcracker. You see what I'm saying, Steele? And with Monarch, it can be a lifesaver. You'll know what I mean in minutes by checking out your net worth links in all accounts and keep track of contributions before deadlines. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the holiday cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code LOCKEDONNHL.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod your first listen every single day. Thank you so much for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. We already know you live your team every single day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get fantasy hockey with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonfantasyhockey.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more about the Everydayer Club. We appreciate you out there. We love you out there. Thank you so much. Hit that subscribe button, the follow button. Share with your friends and family over the holiday season. We're getting after it.
Nice.
League-wide injury updates, big-time bets at the end of the episode. Buffalo Sabres. I really don't know where to start with this team. They just continue to amaze us in a negative way on how they play on a nightly basis. But obviously, maybe let's start with the injury to Jason Zucker. I did just mention him on the recent Sunday waiver wire episode.
Yes, you did.
As of right now, make sure you drop him. Do not go at him. He is injured and will be out for a significant amount of time, which is just absolutely great. That's what you want to see after he was on a 4-game point streak. He came back from a major illness as well, keeping him out of the lineup. Right. He was great. Down the line. I mean, since coming back from that illness, I mean, there was only 2 games he didn't record a point. He was on absolute fire. This is a veteran that brings all the things you want to see as a depth player. It's a tough loss for the Buffalo Sabres. However, it creates opportunity now in that top 6 forward group. I know you're probably going to want to talk about Josh Norris. Let's also talk about Zach Benson and Josh Doan, who get an opportunity on that second line. But yeah, I mean, this is just a tough loss for a Buffalo Sabres team that just continues to struggle to win games.
Jason Zucker has been extremely underrated and very valuable, not only from a fantasy standpoint,
my guy.
But that is your guy. And I don't even want to say boy, because clearly he is not at 33, 34 years old. However, maybe we should be paying more attention to this guy. 53 points in 73 games a year ago. That's jumping off the page with fantasy value. 68 hits, chipping in a little bit across the board, likes to mix it up. 57 penalty minutes steal. This is a guy last year that if he even got anything done at the offensive end and he snaps off for 5 or 6 penalty minutes, you might be winning your week. And I know you've mentioned him as an ideal, like this guy is our waiver wire darling in years past.
Yes, he is.
But he has been almost, after that performance last year, at end of your draftable player. 18 points in 21 games. This is going to be tough to replace for a Buffalo Sabres club that, at times they look good offensively. Josh Doan, Zach Benson, Josh Norris, Tage Thompson, Alex Tuck. I like those 5 players a lot. That's fantasy. This is where we got to separate that because there's value there. But I just still don't see it in the Atlantic Division that, the Maple Leafs have had their struggles. The Panthers have had their struggles. This team is not in that conversation, in my opinion. Nope. However, for now, with Jason Zucker out of the lineup, I guess my take would be this. How do they respond? How does this newly formed second line of Doan, Norris, and Benson perform? For now, I'm willing to take a little shot on all 3 of them if they're out there, because if there's one thing that this team can do, it's definitely not keep pucks out of their net. It's when they're cooking. They can score goals in bunches, and that means you can capitalize on some fantasy value. That's my take with this one.
It really is. And again, go out and get Josh Norris while he's still available. 37% right now. He comes back from that long injury that kept him out until the beginning of December. 4 games in, he has 7 points. He's on a 4-game point streak right now. Even though they're losing, he's producing. So that's the good thing. Again, opportunity for a lot of players. They have Jordan Greenway projected on that top line with Tage Thompson and Alex Tuck. Maybe you give him a look. I really like the second line, though, of Josh Doan and Zach Benson getting a really good opportunity. Zach Benson still looking for his first goal of the season. We know he is a very talented young player as well. Josh Doan has been a great surprise and a great breath of fresh air to this organization. being in that trade package for JJ Peterka. So that was great. 20 points on the season for him. With Josh Norris being on an absolute heater right now, I would definitely go jump on Zach Benson and Josh Stone, just to, you know, if you need some help there. Again, if you maybe picked up Jason Zucker like we suggested on Sunday, it might be time to kick rocks on UPL though. I definitely need to drop him myself. I should have listened to our own advice and probably should have picked up Dennis Hill to be over the weekend, but a little too late here. I need to figure out another way, but UPL, he's not getting the job done.
I just like when you say kick rocks. I appreciate that breakdown. Let's touch on the Vancouver Canucks quickly. All I got to say is Thatcher Demko is back. Yeah, this is a real interesting, and I don't mean in a nice way, situation with Vancouver. We'll talk more in depth about the team overall and Quinn Hughes on tomorrow's show. But all I wanted to mention is Thatcher Demko. He is going to be back in the cage, 5-4-0 in this season's record. Didn't look too great in his last 3 starts before bowing out with injury. 903 save percentage, though. He was okay at times. Pay attention to guys who are going to be the quote-unquote number 1 netminder, or at least be catching starts. You know what's been going on in the blue paint. Just wanted to mention that before. Let's wrap up with the Minnesota Wild and get to bets. Over to you. Your take on that hit on Zuccarello. To me, it looked dirty. That game got a little chippy. Once again, this team is dealing with injuries. You watch a lot more Minnesota Wild hockey than I do. We know that the goaltending has been good. We know that they've also recently struggled a little bit to get wins. Hit me with what you're seeing in Minnesota. Fantasy fallout from these injuries. Zook has been good this year.
Yeah, they've gotten by with a lot of the injuries they've had. Like, they're still 7-2-1 in the last 10 games. And I've actually been watching a lot more Minnesota Wild games of recently. I wasn't at the beginning of the season. We all know that they've been, hit with the injury bug as well. And honestly, in my opinion, I thought that was a clean hit. Zuccarello put himself in a dangerous position. He saw Vince Dunn coming and he still skated into him, but
he got cleaned. He got cleaned.
He got cleaned. It was, for me, it was a clean hit. And that's the one thing that I always say that I hate about the National Hockey League. And I just hate in hockey in general now is when there's a clean hit, but it's big, there's an automatic response from your teammates. And I do obviously respect your line mates and your team, standing up for you and trying to get back in some sort of fashion. But for me, that was a clean hit. It looked to be more shoulder on shoulder. I feel like, especially for a guy of Zuccarello's stature and size, like when he gets hit like that, he's going to have some sort of whiplash effects. And again, when you go shoulder first or you go through the chest, there's going to be whiplash. There's going to be some sort of head or neck injury. That's just the case with most of these big hits in the league now. It's hard to make it any other way for me. So I thought it was clean.
I like that take.
Yeah, I thought it was clean. Obviously, the response is what it's going to be. It turned into a little bit of a gong show after that. But I just love the fact that they were able to, keep their heads on straight for the most part, stay out of the box, and just get the win against the Seattle Kraken team that has, just, again, struggled over the last 3 to 4 weeks.
Obviously, they've already been missing players like Marco Rossi. Let's see what happens with the shakeout of what happened in that game against Seattle. Apparently, Sturm is banged up. Apparently, it could be Middleton banged up. If all of these bodies continue to drop, Minnesota is going to also be a team that you have to monitor for your pieces not named Kirill Kaprizov. Let's get after it, though, with these bets, Steele, because you're impressing me. I've been putting a little bit of money in the pocketbook. We got Hanukkah, we got Christmas, we got Kwanzaa, we got all the things, and we got
all the holidays,
paying these bills and buying these gifts. So I'm going to just immediately turn it over to you after the break, but let's get to it and get to these big-time bets.
4 games on the schedule for Wednesday. Big-time bets coming up next. This episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. That's where you should be placing all of these bets. But Sundays, they move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is the best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover, which we just saw on Monday Night Football. too many times from Jalen Hurts. FanDuel
Right.
lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive result totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Once again, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day, Sunday through Thursdays, when you can catch us 7 o'clock in the morning. Find our episodes on your favorite podcast platform and on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it all out there.
Sure.
4 games on the schedule, Flip. I don't know about you, but I'm not a huge fan of these 4 games that we got cooking on Wednesday.
Totally agree.
I just went out there and was keeping it very simple with what I was getting and just what I was feeling here.
Respect.
I'm staying away from the Red Wings Flames game because that one could just go either way with the over under, with the money line. First pick of the night, Rangers on the money line. The only reason they are in the position that they are in is because they've been able to win on the road. They've been one of the best road teams this season. They're 8-2-0 in their last 10 games against the Chicago Blackhawks. If I'm correct, the Chicago Blackhawks have not been great over the last 10. They're 2-6-2 in their last 10 games as well. I really like the Rangers in this situation here. Give me the money line minus 138. Second pick. I'm also going to take the Florida Panthers on the road going into Utah minus 113. Utah again has just been sliding. I think this Logan Cooley injury is going to have a more effect than we really anticipate as well. Koroba Melka's been a little bit soft in the cage too. I like the road teams on Wednesday, even though I'm not feeling Wednesday as a big night. Rangers money line, Panthers money line. Give me the Kings on the money line minus 146 against the Seattle Kraken. These are the Seattle frauds, in my opinion. This team,
I'm behind that.
This team is not going anywhere in my opinion. So again, this a team that has also been sliding 3-6-1 in their last 10 games on a 5-game losing streak. They're going to hit the 6-game losing streak after Wednesday.
Start with Chicago. We basically have the same picks. Rangers on the money line. Chicago has been outscored 13-1 in their last 2 games, a 6-0 and a 7-1 loss. You're starting to see the true Chicago Blackhawks. We spoke about this. Yes, it's been a hot start. Yes, Bedard looks like a player possessed for whatever reason, Olympics or otherwise, but that's just one player. And Spencer Knight has been playing out of his mind. Kudos and fantasy value, but this team is not good. And it's going to be another year or 2 before they are that. So Rangers money line, bang. Second pick, Kings money line, bang. Been talking about how I think the Kraken are a bunch of fugazis. So I don't even need to explain that either. The LA Kings, 10-2 goal differential in their last 2 games and looking good. And I know that's Utah and Chicago, but I like this angle for the LA Kings head to head. Doesn't jump off the page. Very even split, 5-3-2 for the Kings in their last 10. But I love the Kings on the money line, even on the road here. Lock of the night, Adrian Kempe. Anytime point, not a lot of value there. That's going to be like minus 190, maybe minus 200 even, because he's looked good of late. But smash that into your bigger parlay. You know you'll feel me on this. You got 4, 5, or 6 picks. Adrian Kempe is looked really good. And in his last 5 games, on fire, 3 goals, 3 assists. I think this is a really, really good spot for the Kings. And that means that's a really good spot for their top guns in Adrian Kempe. I was going to bring up his career against the Seattle Kraken because I believe that was favorable as well, Steele. It's right here in his career against the Seattle Kraken. 13 points in 13 games. Boom, bap, Adrian Kempe, anytime point, lock of the night.
Bang. Money is coming in over the holiday season with the big time bets. Maybe we are feeling these picks for Wednesday. I'm feeling a lot more confident after this conversation. Let us know what you go with, what you're rolling with, what your Wednesday bets hit and look like in the comment section on YouTube. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Make sure you subscribe and follow so you get all the latest episodes. And we want to know, did the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod make your Spotify Wrapped? Prove it on social media to secure a free month of our brand new Everydayer Club. Just tag our National Locked On Podcast Network account on any social media platform. We'll drop you the code and be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club to get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL, and we will see you back here again tomorrow. We will break down all of these Quinn Hughes rumors.
Peace.